Hi everyone, welcome back to Between Screenings, joined again by the lovely Tom Percival.
Good morning, Neil. How are you today?
Good, thanks. So we're going to be going back and seeing if our predictions about Mandalorian and Grogu came true. We're also going to look at how, after we talked about it in the last podcast, how Obsession has gone on and on and on at the box office, and how everyone is asking Tom, is it really that good? And then we'll also talk a little bit about Backrooms, which I've just seen. So we'll have sort of little modern horror section. And then you're going to get to listen to me talk about all 18 films I saw in Cannes.
So I hope you've got a can-do attitude when Neil talks about Cannes Film Festival.
Yes, I certainly won't be doing in-depth reviews of each one. It'll be a whistle-stop tour of the 18 films I saw when I was in Cannes. So, Mandalorian and Grogu, Tom, you've finally seen it?
Yes. So I was very lucky. I got to see it a few days earlier at the BFI IMAX here in London. The ideal situation, I would argue, to see a Star Wars movie surrounded by Star Wars fans who were all very, very excited for it. I can't lie, as I walked in, there was a Mandalorian helmet, there was a little Grogu you could talk to. There was a real feeling walking into that cinema that Star Wars is back. And I mean, I'm not saying Star Wars isn't back, but I'm saying that it was exactly what I expected it to be. It felt like the 3 episodes from the 4th series all stitched together to create a feature-length presentation. And well, some people felt really positively about it. They were excited to see Mando and Grogu back. I could not help but shake the feeling that if you're going to bring Star Wars back, you need to do something more than just, something I can probably watch on Disney Plus in a couple of weeks. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just felt really uncinematic. And I know Jon Favreau's come out and said, yeah, we basically did retool the season 4 script into this movie. And it shows. It really, really shows. I mean, I will give it some credit. I think it's got a fantastic opening. Like, I think it's got a really exciting Star Wars-y sort of plot to it. But it's just, I think uncinematic is the word, which is strange for a movie full of aliens and, different planets and everything. But there's just this feeling that you are, as I say, you are watching a TV series glued together, and no one's really thought, how do we do anything different for a movie? Which is a real shame. It really is. But no, I'd probably give it 3 stars if I had to give it anything. But Star Wars needed to be great. And I think that's very much reflected in the box office, which we've been predicting for some time.
Yeah, although it did better in its first weekend than I expected. So it actually tracked slightly above what most expectations were, to the high end of them. So I think it did just over 100 million, but it has now had a 70% drop in its second weekend. So it was your Star Wars fans who you were all in the cinema with who went to watch it in the opening weekend, and now everyone else just can't be bothered. And, it's now got to contend with things like Obsession, which is now grown. It's the first film since E.T. to have grown its box office domestically in its first 3 weekends of release. So it took whatever it took the first weekend, then it took even more the second weekend, and then it's taken even more again the third weekend, which is mad. It's a $1 million budget sort of horror movie, and it keeps growing every week. And then you've got Backrooms out. You've even got things like the Michael movie still going strong. You've got Tuna, which has just come out as well, which I'm excited to see. So I'm looking at the cinema this week and I'm thinking, right, okay, if I go to the cinema 3 times this week, I'll go and see Backrooms, which I did today. I'll go and see Obsession, because I've still not seen it yet, and everyone's talking about it, and I just kind of want to know what the big deal is. And then I'll go and see Tuna, because it looks like a fun thriller. And you know what? I'll wait. I've watched Mandalorian for 3 seasons now, /4 seasons if you include the Book of Boba Fett. I've watched them on my TV at home. I was quite happy with that. So I'll just wait and watch this big episode of The Mandalorian at home, because I'm used to watching that show at home.
I was thinking about this today when I was on my run. I was just like, have they taken the star out of Star Wars by putting it on television? Have they essentially said to people, this is throwaway? This doesn't, this is This isn't cinematic anymore. This isn't an event. Star Wars is just something you just watch on TV. And I know that there were Star Wars TV shows prior to the release of The Mandalorian, but they were animated, like the Clone Wars, stuff like that. And I just don't think they had as much purchase in popular culture. And I think the success of The Mandalorian season 1 and 2, because it was really
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
has cost Star Wars something. Like, I'm friends with lots of film people who were just saying, isn't it mad that this was a couple of weeks ago, we're weeks away from the release of the first Star Wars film in 7 years, and no one cares. Like none of us are particularly bothered or interested in what's going to happen.
I think they'd have been better off waiting for Starfighter, because I think that's something that's at least different and new and could maybe get us a little bit excited. I think an extended episode of The Mandalorian maybe wasn't the thing to relaunch Star Wars in the cinemas after the absolute horrendousness that was Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, tricky one. Not done great, but like we say, in contrast to Obsession, I mean,
Mad,
Mandalorian Grogu has
madness.
created 70% in its second weekend, and Obsession has grown yet again in its third weekend.
Absolute madness. I mean, on a 700 to $1 million budget to be doing this well, it brings back memories like that from the aughts of just like showing what you can do on such a small budget. It's incredible. And I mean, my favorite factoid, it is now Focus Features' highest grossing domestic movie after dethroning Downton Abbey. Sorry, Downton Abbey fans. But I think it speaks to like Obsession. I know you've not seen it, and I don't want to spoil anything for you. Obsession feels like one person's vision for something. Like, I want to tell this story, and I'm going to make this as good as I possibly can with the money I have. And you don't feel, like, and obviously it's very different because it's not an IP thing, but it's such a good piece of cinema. Like, it's so effective. It's so frightening. It's such an interesting story. It's compelling. It's fantastic in every way. And I think you put that up against the slightly bland corporate flavorlessness of The Mandalorian, and I know which one I pick every single time. I was saying to you before we started recording, people have asked me, like, I have my non-film fan friends have been saying, do I need to go see Obsession in the cinema? And the answer, honestly, is yes, because it feels like a phenomenon. It's it's an entertaining picture, but it's also a film that people are talking about, and you want to be involved in those conversations. You don't want to wait till it's on Now or Disney Plus or wherever it ends up.
Yeah, and I'd say the same true of Backrooms, which I've just seen. Again, you've not seen it yet. I know you want to go to the cinema to see it. I got home. I didn't know anything about it previously, so I just actually started watching the short film that he did 4 years ago. That sort of started his little section of films that he did multiple sort of versions of and bits of on YouTube, and grew his following. And I think the interesting thing is, and this isn't a surprise to me because I've seen the younger generation's desire to come out to the cinema, their desire to have communal experiences and have these things that they don't often get. The younger generation, they don't have water cooler moments in the same way we did every single week with TV, because we were all waiting till 10 o'clock on a Thursday for Ali McBeal or whatever
Yeah.
thing happened to be on at the time that everyone watched because it was only on at that time. That doesn't exist now. So even if you're massive into Stranger Things, you might watch it at a different time to someone else, unless you organize to watch it at the same time. So you might phone them up being like, oh my God, have you seen the latest episode of Stranger Things? They're like, oh no, I've not got around to it yet. I was going to watch it later. And it kind of just takes that excitement out. So they still want that ability to have that water cooler moment, have that shared experience. But also, it shows that there are young creators out there. And if you put on in a cinema content that is relevant to them, not trying to force the cinema we grew up with on them because they're not interested in that. You do stuff that speaks to their generation. They turn up for it. 81 million it took domestically at Backrooms. It's A24's highest domestic opening weekend ever. Over double Marty Supreme domestic. I think it's nearly taken internationally the lifetime takings of Marty Supreme already. Like,
It's madness,
it's
isn't
mad.
it?
And apparently the audience were 85% under the age of 35 and 55% under the age of 25. This is
Wow.
the generation that apparently aren't going to the cinema and aren't interested. It's just they're not interested in the stuff we wanted them to be interested in.
Yeah.
But like you say, like with Obsession, I think if you give these creators who've proven themselves on YouTube, I mean, he's only 20, the guy that did Backrooms, but he's proven himself. He's built a following. His first short on YouTube has had 82 million views. He's got 3.5 million people or whatever it is follow him on YouTube, and that doesn't even include his TikTok and whatever else he's got the platforms of. Those people follow him for his content, and they will then follow him into the cinema
Yeah.
and support him and be excited about seeing what he does in the cinema. And that's exactly the same as the director of Obsessions. That's exactly the same format. And I think if you can find these creators who are doing really interesting stuff online with very limited budgets, and you chuck them a modest budget, still only 10 million budget for Backrooms, you chuck them a modest budget, they're going to turn out something that their audience, and like I think, like you said, you let them keep their creative vision.
Yep.
And you don't let the suits come in and water it down or tamper with it, because they know what their audience want. They've worked and worked to make sure everything they post and everything they create taps into what their audience respond to. So let them do it, and the audience will follow them.
Yeah. I think you're right. And I think, it's the rise of the we had auteur cinemaker, auteur filmmakers. It's the rise of the content creator, filmmaker, isn't it? The person who's made YouTube films, who, like you say, has built up a following of their own, and then they go make a movie, and the audience goes with them. Before we move on, though, I do want to talk a little bit about the snobbery towards Kane Parsons and Curry Barker, who directed Backrooms and Obsession, respectively. Have you heard the conspiracy theory
Oh,
going around?
no, what's this nonsense now?
This is that it is impossible. Like, there are people saying online that these films were ghost directed because they are too good to have been made by YouTubers and first time filmmakers.
Well, those
It's
people
like
can
they're
very
not.
politely and cover your children's ears. Those people can very politely fuck off.
Well, but again, it's the snobbery, isn't it? Of saying, well, they're first time filmmakers. They're not first time. They might be first time theatrical filmmakers, but these people have been making YouTube content for years. Like, they know how to do this stuff. And, you look at, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Certainly, Backrooms had James Wan helping produce. It had Sean Levy. There are people helping these people who are experienced filmmakers. But I don't think we have to pretend that these films, these couldn't possibly be made by someone so young. It is snobbery, and I do think it reflects that they don't see YouTube and those types of videos as real cinema or entertainment. Like, it's, throwaway and disposable. And that's just not the case.
No, and again, with the Backrooms, the guy, he'd grown his YouTube. He's got his 3.19 million followers. He made the first short film. I mean, he's been making short films since before he did the Backrooms one. One of the shorts he did 6 years ago, when he was 14, I'm assuming, played film festivals. He's done other little short films. The original Backrooms was a found footage short film. I don't know if he did festivals with it, but he put it on YouTube. It's really good. And then he kept sort of working that same thing and doing more little shorts around it, because it was obviously something he really enjoyed. But yeah, he's not a first-time filmmaker in the sense of, like, you've just handed him a camera. He's just come out of film school. He's done a couple of student shorts. These guys know they know what they're doing. And yeah, I think that's incredibly patronizing to try and claim that they've been ghost directed. I think these guys are talented and they've proved themselves first.
Yeah. I do not think there's any other way to put it. I think it's an exciting time. I'm very Curry Barker in particular. I mean, he's working on Anything But Ghosts next, which is about some ghost hunters who find out, oh crap, ghosts are real. It's got Aaron Paul in it, so basically I'm there. And he's working on the next Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I'm very intrigued to see, considering some of the violence we saw in Obsession. So yeah, basically, again, cover your children's ears. Go fuck yourself if you think young people can't make films, because they can.
Yeah, of course they can. And again, like, what would you, if I was a investor wanting to put 10 million quid into a film, do I want to give that money to someone who's made a pretentious short that played Venice? Or do like a drama, pretentious short drama that played Venice? Or do I want to give it to a exciting young filmmaker who's made a short film and has had 80 million views on YouTube? I'm going with the 80 million views.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, entirely. We've proven interest in something.
yeah, it's you want, if it was a business plan. Oh, I've got 80 million people who are interested in my product. You're going to go, oh right, okay. You've proven the market exists. I played Venice. That is good. Don't get me wrong. Playing Venice, playing one of the big film festivals. As if someone who runs a film festival, I'm not going to denigrate them. But it doesn't mean you're going to make something that's commercial. Maybe you're going to make the next really good drama that's going to get awards consideration, or maybe it's going to go to do a nice festival run. But it ain't going to do 81 million in its opening weekend.
Certainly not. And it goes when we were at Manchester Film Festival this year, and we were doing our panel on film distribution and it's like the business side of films. Everyone was saying that genre, if you have a hook, a unique hook, and you can break through, like Obsessions, like the Backrooms, you can do really, really well out of it. And like sales agents are interested in these films, and people who prove they have a built-in audience. So
Yeah. I'm interested to see what he does next with Backrooms, because I think a sequel is probably in the works. There's a lot more.
yes,
It sets up the end of the film, sets up a lot more that they can do. And I think that liminal space thing, I think Severance kind of did the liminal space concept really, really well. And it kind of taps into that kind of Severance-y like vibe, especially at the end of the film. But it's obviously a lot more. It's a lot more genre than say Severance is in terms of its
yeah, of
horror
course.
leanings. So I won't say any more because I don't want to ruin anything for you. It does get a bit silly, and I did find some bits quite amusing. But just go in expecting to have fun and be a little bit unnerved. It's certainly not
Well,
flat
I
out
mean,
horror. It's certainly not flat out horror. And I think, like you say, I'm not a massive fan of horror, but I'm not a massive fan of the sort of big, horrible, jump scary um, films. And this has got a couple of kind of little mini jump scares in, but it's not. It's more. I'd say it's closer to being a horror in the way some of the episodes of Severance are a horror.
yeah, I mean, so I got a text from a big horror fan friend who said, "This is the scariest film I've seen all year," and I was like, "Oh wow, okay." And then I had a text from another big horror fan who said, "It's really creepy, but it is not scary in any way." So it's interesting you say that. That's like I'm expecting it to be more cerebral than I am, gory or particularly
Oh,
shocking.
there is very little there. I can say there is very little gore. So it's not your sort of Hostel type horror
Yes.
film, which is the exact type of horror film that I'm not a fan.
Although I will defend Hostel slightly in that first one. If you don't know the twist, is all right. Anyway, but that's a topic for another podcast.
Totally for another part, but the sort of gore porn type of horror is the
Yeah,
stuff
of
that I'm
course.
not the biggest fan of. Right. Should we get into it? Should we get into what I saw at Cannes?
Let's start. I feel with just telling us a little bit about this is the longest you've ever stayed. You've been to Cannes plenty of times before. But this is the longest you've ever stayed. Just tell us a little bit about the whole experience before we start getting into any of the movies.
Yes, it's interesting. I had a much more subdued Cannes in a lot of senses than I normally do. So I didn't do the partying as much as I normally do. I still had meetings, but I had them spread out over a week now instead of sort of crammed into 2 days. So it felt a lot more chilled from the meeting point of view. I watched a lot of films. So, like I say, I watched 18 films while I was there. He didn't really do many parties. Just wanted to be able to get up in the morning and go and watch 8 o'clock screenings. And I've kind of done the parties, and they're fun. There was a couple of parties I could have gone to, but I got to too late, and there was a big queue, and I couldn't be bothered standing in a queue. Um, so I think it was a much more relaxed vibe. It was interesting seeing the sort of market wind down and the festival itself get a lot quieter. So the first weekend of the festival tends to be the really busy weekend for sales agents and deals and meetings and all that kind of stuff. And then everyone kind of leaves by the Monday, Tuesday. So watching the
Mm.
town and the festival itself just get much quieter as the week went on was interesting. So it was nice seeing the back end. And it was also just nice, like I say, being able to really get stuck into the program this year and really see what um, what films were going to be ones that people would be talking about afterwards, and what ones I just thought meh. So that was yeah, it was quite interesting. But yeah, I didn't do many parties, so you can be slightly disappointed with me if you want, because I didn't really party it up this year. No
You,
hangovers.
we've said this before, Neil. We're getting old now. We don't have to be partying every night. We'll save it for 1 or 2 nights at a festival these days. We don't need to be, tearing it up.
Yes, I think as well. I think the years I've gone partying hardest are where I've gone by myself. So it's kind of like, right, I need to meet people. I'm going to go to a party. I'm going to have a good time.
Yes.
Whereas I was with Carl this year, so I could just sort of head back to the apartment and chill and have a chat with Carl after the films had finished, or we'd just go for a beer and bump into some people we know randomly from Manef in bars in France and stuff, but without having to go crazy. So that was nice, and the weather was lovely, which was good.
Well, I'm delighted for you, but we probably should talk a little bit about the movies that you saw while you're out there. So should we start with what was the best thing you saw while you were out there?
Okay, we're gonna do. You want to do it that way around, or I was gonna potentially do it chronologically. But the best thing, I think, the best thing I saw when I was out there was the most talked about film of the festival, the one that sold to A24 for $17 million. It was Club Kid. It was the third film I saw while I was there. So we went and saw it at an 8:30 screening on the Saturday morning, and it was absolutely brilliant. It is. I think it will do fantastically when it comes out. I think it appeals to lots of different demographics. It's a fantastic story of a man discovering he's got a child that he didn't know about and having to reassess his life and the way he lives his life in relation to that. It happens to be a gay man who only had sex with a woman once, and is involved very much in the sort of gay club scene in New York, so it has that spin on it. But ultimately, it's a story about growing up and taking responsibility for yourself and for this child that's come into your life. But it was brilliant. It was heartfelt. It was funny. It was yeah, really good. I'm not surprised there was a bidding war for it, and I'm sure it will do amazingly when it comes out. And again, it's another film. He's not a content creator, but he's very much a social media sort of star, the director of the film. So I'm sure his audience will follow him to see what he's done, because he's also the lead actor in it. Um, I'm sure he'll be promoting it like absolute crazy when it comes out, and I'm sure it will do really, really well. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it's his first theatrical. His name's Jordan Firstman. His first theatrical release, and it sells to A24 for 17 million. But he had a rough can, didn't he?
yes,
Bet he had a headache one morning.
I imagine he probably did do some partying. He probably did do some partying. So yeah, that was probably the best thing I saw. Do you want the worst thing I saw?
I do. Because I
It's a
think I know what you're going to
tie.
choose.
It's a
Oh,
tie. It's a tie between Nicholas Winding Refn's Her Private Hell, which was the most pretentious, self-indulgent piece of nonsense I've ever seen, and had so many walkouts during the screening in Cannes. People were leaving left, right, and centre. It's beautiful as you expect from Nicholas Winding Refn, although some bits are kind of slightly tackily beautiful. Um, there's no real story. It's kind of a avant-garde, experimental, 2 hour long, very slow piece of nonsense. Not his best.
you
Like I,
sound.
I like Nicholas Winding Refn. I've kind of I forgave him for Only God Forgives. Like I didn't mind Only God Forgives. It was slow and not a lot happened in it, but it had a lot more going on than this film. It was. I put my tux on. I was sat there in my tux till midnight. Impressed I didn't fall asleep. It was painful. Yeah, not a fan.
You are not alone there. I think it's got like 44% on Rotten Tomatoes at the moment.
That is too high.
I have heard that Sophie Thatcher, the main lead, is pretty good in it. I read at least one review where they were like, "Oh, it's like Jack Nicholson in The Shining," and I was like, "Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?" Because the way you described it to us as barely coherent, I was like, "Is that intentional?"
I like her in it, and I think it's one of those weird films where you can kind of make it better in your head afterwards. Like the actual viewing experience was dull, but sort of looking
Yeah.
back on it, and I can romanticize it and make it better in my head afterwards. But the actual watching of it was pretty dull. And the other film that was just absolutely terrible and do not watch, and it was badly acted, badly produced, bad VFX, creepy, weird nonsense, was Propeller One Way Night Coach, the John Travolta
All right,
directed. Awful.
I'm so annoyed at this because I really wanted this to be, well, if not good, I wanted it to be entertaining at the very least. So is it bad funny, or is it just terrible? No
Just bad,
redeeming
just bad.
qualities.
It's 1 hour long, and I checked my watch while I was watching it
Oh.
because I was wanted to know that it was surely going to end, and it was only half an hour in. It is basically John Travolta reads his book while you watch some people act it out.
Yeah, it sounds. I mean, I can't lie. It sounds absolutely terrible.
Yep. And it's the most
It's
nepotistic film ever. I think everyone in it's family members of his, including his
uh,
daughter, who plays the air stewardess he fancied.
ooh,
Yep.
ooh, no.
Yep.
Again, I will watch it. This is one of those films I will go out of my way to watch when it eventually ends up. In fact, it might already be on
Apple.
Apple TV
It might
Plus
already
now.
be on Apple.
I'll have to check. The only thing I know about it beyond the text you sent me and Emily saying that it was dreadful, followed by some things I can't say here, was Robbie Collins' review in The Telegraph, where he gave it 1 star and said it was like watching a toddler walk into a lamppost, which I just found hilarious.
I agree with Robbie Collins. Although a toddler walking into a lamppost, I would at least laugh.
At least that's more. Oh dear. Okay. Was there anything that surprised you? I feel like is a fun question.
Anything that surprised me? The Black Ball surprised me. So we
Okay.
didn't know much about it. Went to see it, or La Bala Negra, the Spanish title. We booked it for the final Friday before we came home. We had time to pop one last film in before we head to the headed to the airport, and it was absolutely fantastic. Again, it's had
Wow.
slightly mixed reviews, which really surprises me. It's an epic. So it is a gorgeous, very attractive film, but it's an epic story set across sort of 3 time periods, all connected by this play, which is La Bala Negra, and the family members involved in preserving and passing on this play, which supposedly was the first play by a very famous Spanish playwright or novelist, and it was his first play to have a openly queer character as the protagonist. So it is kind of a queer story, tracking the sort of the history of queer culture within Spain, but it doesn't bog itself down with that. It's a story about families. It's a story about connection between generations and people finding out who they are. And I just thought it was absolutely brilliant. It was gorgeous. There's an amazing cameo by Penelope Cruz in it. She's absolutely fantastic. And I just loved it. I thought it was joyous and heartfelt. If it was in English, I think it would be 100% a contender for award season. I think even though it's in Spanish, I think it will go on to be a contender for award season. It got the longest standing ovation during its actual premiere at Cannes of all the films that premiered at Cannes. So the audience certainly connected with it and really loved it. But critics seem to have been a bit mixed on it, which
That's a
not
shame.
sure why.
But critics can get it wrong sometimes.
Yes, they can. They can.
I have to ask, did you watch the Palme d'Or winning film Fjord while you were out there?
I missed Fjord. Carl saw Fjord. I think he said it was fine. It
You know
certainly
what?
didn't set it didn't set the world on fire.
We should get Carl on the podcast one day so people can understand what a fine from Carl means.
Yes, yeah, we should. Right, I'll quickly rattle through the other stuff I saw just for fun. I saw a random French horror movie called Species, or Sanguine.
Okay.
It was fine. Tonally weird. Started off quite funny. Started off quite absurd and quite funny. There was a scene where a magpie got run over. A dead magpie got run over, and the French people in the audience thought that was hilarious.
Classic French joke.
Yep. But it started off really like weird and quirky and sort of a specific style, and then it just went really dark and sort of deep and dark and whatever else, and then it kind of went weird and quirky and thing at the end. So it was slightly weird tonally for me, but it was fine. It was some good body horror in it. So yeah, I kind of enjoyed it, but it was, you know, it was fine. I saw Gentle Monster, which I thought was pretty dull. I think there was a review I saw on Letterboxd, which I completely agreed with. There's like the main film, which is Leah Seydoux dealing with the fact her husband's been arrested for having loads of indecent images on his computer. And that's the story. That's the whole story. How she deals with that, how she comes to terms with it, how he lies about why it was there, and all this sort of stuff. And then there's this weird side story about the policewoman investigating her, but it's completely pointless. It's got nothing to do with the main story. And every time she comes on playing a like EDM in a car or whatever she's playing really loudly, you're just like, oh no, we don't have to listen. Like it never comes back and ties together at all. It's just I didn't need it. So it could have been a nice hour and a half banger, but instead it's like nearly 2 hours because there's half an hour's worth of extra content you didn't need. So yeah, it wasn't. Leah Seydoux was fantastic in it. I thought the performance was fantastic. One to look out for, I think. Possible award season. Sort of talk maybe, but we'll see. I saw Fulfill, which was an
Okay.
absurdist French film, so by a French director, but it's in the English language, starring Woody Harrelson and Kristen Stewart. Absolute rubbish.
I mean, I could tell from your tone you were going to say it was absolute rubbish.
I thought it was absolute rubbish. It was. I think there's a thing about having a film written in the English language, acted by English actors, but written by someone who that's not their first language. It was mad. They're obviously two fantastic actors, and I love Woody Harrelson and Kristen Stewart. I think is also fantastic. Yet they were. I was watching the first half an hour, and I was like, "Why are the acting so bad? Why am I watching such awful acting?" And I think I don't know. Maybe it was the fact it was a French writer writing in his non-native language, but yeah, it was kind of fine. It was a midnight movie, so I was watching it at 12:30 at night with Woody and Christian in the audience, not far from where I was sat. But yeah, it was just nonsense.
See, if you'd have gone to the party afterwards, you could have told Woody, I'm sorry, mate, you made a steamer.
I mean, he must have been watching it thinking, I don't know, just the acting was bad at the start. I didn't really get it. It was very odd. I saw Paper Tiger, which is obviously the only
Yeah.
sort of big American film. It is good. It is really good. It is. I think if you go into it knowing it's a family drama rather than like a gangster movie, then you will enjoy it more. So yeah, it very much is a family drama. Uh, I really enjoyed it without it being particularly exceptional. Yeah, I'm sure it'll do fine. I saw Colony, which was a Korean zombie movie.
Oh, is this by the guy who made Train to Busan?
Is this the Train to Busan?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so it was fun. The zombies were good. The protagonist, the sort of lead protagonist who you think is going to be the protagonist, gets murdered by the zombies pretty early doors.
Good.
So yeah, it was fun. It's a zombie
Well,
movie. It was fun. It was maybe a little bit long, but it was fun.
Well, I will say, Yang Sang-ho, no, Yeon Sang-ho, sorry, I might have butchered his name there. He made Train to Busan, which is one of the best, most innovative zombie movies I've seen in years. And then he made the follow-up to that, which is like Peninsula, which is a direct sequel to, and it's absolute trash. So I'm glad to hear that he's on the road to zombie redemption.
Yeah, no, it was good. If you like a zombie movie, this was a decent zombie movie. It was kind of a zombie movie meets Pluribus.
Okay, yeah, I'm into that.
So yeah, interesting take. I saw Hope, which was the again South Korean movie about, I mean, ostensibly about an alien invasion, but it kind of starts off like a rogue Bigfoot action movie. Like it's the action scenes in
Okay,
it are absolutely brilliant, and it's kind of you think maybe it's like a rogue type Bigfoot type monster that's come from the woods that is attacking this town. But you find out at the end of the film that it's aliens, and the within the like in the last like 5 minutes of the film, you find out the aliens have a huge
brilliant.
backstory that somehow we're setting up a sequel and a cinematic universe, and it makes no sense whatsoever, and you don't care. You're just like, no,
Brilliant.
just leave it as a cool creature feature, and I would have been loving it. So yeah, I think that's been the main consensus with it. Creature animation's also a bit fairly Marmite. It's kind of like it's they're like filmed in a different frame rate, like they're from a
Okay.
from a noughties computer game or something. So they're
I
slightly odd. I'm
kind
not sure about the creature design, but the action in it's very good, and there's some absolute laugh out loud moments in it. It's very funny with its action, and it's very silly. And if you don't take it seriously, you'll have a great time.
brilliant. That's well, sounds fun.
In contrast, I watched The Samurai and the Prisoner, which we were excited to go into a samurai movie. They just talked for 2.5 hours.
Dear me, no,
And I
no
think
fun
the
to be
problem
had.
is, I think if you are Japanese and you're watching it, you probably get a lot more out of it. But you lose quite a lot of the poetry and the nuance in subtitles. So I think some films just don't work that well translated because even English subtitles, when you're watching English subtitles, they don't translate every single word they're saying. They often translate context. And it can really change the sort of tone and meaning of the film. So I think it was let down by that. And there was one battle in it, but he showed it from in a big wide shot, and it was over in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably going to get me thrown out of Film Critic Club, but I must admit, like, when I was flying to Japan very recently, I decided I was going to watch some Kurosawa movies on the flight there. So I thought, oh yeah, that'll get me in the mood for it. And I watched Rashomon for the first time, and it was very clear to me that this is an incredible film that has informed so much of like what cinema is. But Christ alive, it was not a film for me, if you know what I mean, because the style of acting is so different from what I'm used to. Like, I don't understand what they're saying, and the tone they're taking clearly is, like, you read the subtitles and you're like, well, he seemed very angry when he said, "Yeah, I'm absolutely fine." So is he lying? Like, what's going on? So I can sympathize with you when you say that subtitles can, in some cases, not always like. Well, they can tell you what's happening. They can't always let you feel what's happening.
Yeah. So there, that was also Bitter Christmas, the new Pedro Almodovar one.
Eh,
Meh. It was about I didn't like it. Let's just leave it at that.
let's leave it at that.
I just thought it's not his best work. I like a lot of his films. This was bland and unexciting, and like, if you're gonna do so, like, come on, you can make whatever you want. Make something interesting and provocative. It wasn't even remotely provocative, which upset me. I saw Victorian Psycho. That was fun. Absolutely loved it. You will love Victorian Psycho.
What's it about?
It is about a young girl who is a governess. So she
Okay.
moves to a big stately home in England in the Victorian times to become the governess and look after the children. Just turns out she's a psycho.
Right, I'm in. I
And
was hoping it was going to be that simple,
yep,
and I'm happy it
you
is.
don't really need to know too much more. There's a lot more goes on, but that's pretty much it. And it's really good. It's really,
It's
really
got
good.
Micah Monroe in it as well. She's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Michael Monroe is the lead in
Yeah.
it, and she is brilliant as the slightly unhinged, psychopathic governess. Really good.
All in.
Yeah, really good. I saw The Man I Love, the new Ira Sachs film with Rami Malek. Meh.
Yeah. I mean, listen, my feelings on Rami Malek are well known at this point. Was he the worst thing in it, or was it just meh in general?
It was just meh in general. They're just, it was just pretty bland. I think, it's a film kind of set in 80s New York, going through the sort of, all the issues surrounding being homosexual at the time, without dealing with any of the issues surrounding being homosexual at the time. So Rami Malek's
Right.
got AIDS and is slowly dying of AIDS, but they don't, they kind of tackle that from the point of view of the partner he's got and him. I don't think it. For me, you didn't see any persecution towards them for being homosexual. There was no like homophobia that they were having to deal with within the film that I could really see. You kind of needed to know a lot of context around it and the situation they were in to get a lot of it, without them showing that in any way on film. So
Right.
it was very slow, and I wasn't a fan.
Sounds a bit ponderous.
Yes. I saw Minotaur, which is a film by Russian dissident. It's basically, again, it's like a kind of it takes a bit of a turn halfway through, which is fun. So it's about a businessman who is, you know, kind of struggling with the fact that everyone that works for him's got the frickin' hell out of Russia after they invaded Ukraine. They've all absolutely fled and got out of there because they don't want anything to do with it. He's handed down conscriptions that he has to um, meet. So he has to suggest a load of people from his company to go and fight in the war. Obviously, he doesn't want to do that because he values his people and he cares about them. But it's also about corruption within the Russian system and how rich people get away with whatever they want to get away with. So yeah, it was an enjoyable watch. I enjoyed that. It was pretty good. I saw I See Buildings Fall Like Lightning. So the last two I saw were the two sort of British films of the festival. I really enjoyed I See Buildings Fall Like Lightning. It's by Chloe Bernard, who directed Ali and Ava. I really enjoyed the film. It's about a group of friends from Birmingham who are kind of dealing with being in their 20s. One of them's moved away to London because he's either inherited or made loads of money. It's never quite clear how he got all his money, but he's made loads of money and he lives in a posh, soulless apartment in London and has a posh girlfriend that they all call Kate Middleton. And him, that's sort of the friends he's left behind, and them going through what they're going through as young working class people living in Birmingham. So I kind of enjoyed it watching it. There were some bits of it that I thought just didn't quite work, but overall I enjoyed it. And then we had a Q&A with the director afterwards.
Oh.
And this pissed me off. I'm gonna have to say. Someone stood up in the audience and asked a very good question. They basically said one of the most articulate young man in the film, who is very anti-capitalist and pro kind of workers' rights and the rights of the working classes. He went away to university to Leeds as a thing in the film. He went away to university to Leeds and stuff happened while he was at uni that becomes contentious in the film. But so he's got a degree from Leeds Uni. So her question was, why did you put this character who's the most outspoken against the capitalist system, why did you have him working in the most oppressive possible job as a delivery driver on a bike, like essentially a Deliveroo driver?
Yeah.
And the director looked absolutely blindsided by this question. And she said, well, I think that's all that was available to him. And I just thought, bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit. A university-educated white young man isn't driving Deliveroo bikes. That is not that. And also, at no point in the film did we see him going to the job centre or trying to get a different job. He just, for the 6 months or so that the film was set over, just cycled around on his bike for Deliveroo and seemed perfectly. That's what he did. He wasn't looking for another job. That's just what he did.
So it wasn't a plot point in the movie, like, because you can see I could see the argument being made of, you know, like with the way the world is, with like into politics of like graduates and the lack of opportunities for people, you know, for people just coming out of uni. I could see that being a powerful point for a film to make. But then, like you say, you feel like the film has to address that a little bit and can't just go, "Why is that happening?"
Yeah, I think you need to see him. You need to see him lose his job, and then have to. That was all that he could do for the time being while trying to find another job. You at the bare minimum, you needed him trying to find another job. But this is a university-educated young white man. Like, he's from a working class background, fine, but it doesn't matter. You don't see those people cycling around for Deliveroo. So it didn't make any sense in the film to have him doing that. And the fact that they didn't have an answer just made me think, and I looked into who the writer of the film was. The original book, I think, that it's based on was probably, I'm assuming the guy that wrote that was from a working class background. But my guess is the screenwriter definitely wasn't. And the director definitely isn't. And I'm just guessing they just haven't got a bloody clue how working class people actually live. And there's just assumptions made. Oh, what should we have him do? Oh, he can be a delivery driver. That seems like something people like that would do. And you're like, no, not a chance.
Yep.
That's not. He wouldn't do that. And he would at least be constantly looking for another job because he was the sole wage earner in his house with 2 young daughters.
Yeah, no. Seems weird.
So I really liked the film. Other than that, really pissed me off.
Other than the Q&A.
Yeah. Just put some thought into why you're doing
An
things.
important an important lesson to any directors listening, just when we prep for your Q&A.
Yeah, well, just when you make decisions in your film, have a reason why you're making that decision.
So strange.
Yeah, really odd. So that annoyed me. And then the other one I saw was The End of It, which stars Rebecca Hall as a 250-year-old woman.
Okay.
She lives in a society where basically for the certain select few who are rich enough, aging doesn't exist anymore. Um,
Okay.
they have weird things where they sort of plug themselves in and their blood goes through a machine and they take certain pills and things like that, but they don't age. And they will live forever. All of her bones are now composite materials because they've been replaced over her lifetime. Um, and she keeps all the other bones, and she's an artist, and she's got like a skeleton, her own skeleton, um,
Okay.
as an art exhibit. It's about her sort of dealing with the fact that she doesn't actually want to live anymore. She's kind of bored and fed up. So she decides to end her life, which everyone's very shocked at, because they all are happy living forever. And all her friends are very funny and moronic, and um,
Classic.
it's a good tone to the film. Um, and she decides she's going to end herself, but she also decides that she's going to make that an art piece. So she's going to end her life as an artistic piece. And this obviously gets a lot of traction, and a lot of people turn up to sort of count down to her taking her life. So you're sort of like, oh well, if she wanted to back out of it now, it's going to be tricky.
She really
Um,
can't, yeah.
so it doesn't deal massively with that, but it was fun. I'll be really interested to see what the director does next, because I think they've got a really, there's really clear style, a really clear sort of vision from the director in it, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and Rebecca Hall was fantastic in it. So that I really enjoyed,
Oh, fantastic.
and it wasn't ruined by direct Q&A not managing to answer a question.
They didn't ask at any point, what does the skeleton mean? And she went, "Dunno."
No Q&A after that one, so we didn't get to know. But I really enjoyed it. I think it'll be, it's Black Mirror-esque in its sort of story, and I think that the fact that Black Mirror-esque has become a genre is tricky for a lot of films like that. Because the
Yes.
comparison is often to those fantastic episodes of Black Mirror. But I think it stands on its own. I think it's got enough it's trying to say on its own without to escape that comparison.
Fair enough. One sounds interesting. When you started talking about it, I was reminded of that terrible Justin Timberlake movie, About Time, where they trade years like money, and it's absolutely woeful. And I was a bit like, "Oh God, are we heading in
No,
that
this
direction?"
definitely isn't that.
Good,
Oh
good.
yes, sorry, that was quite a long tour of what I saw at Cannes, but I did see a lot.
You did. I'm very proud of you. You were there for 10 days. Can you give us your review of this year's Cannes do you think it was a successful Cannes? Because obviously, there's been a lot of ink spilt on people saying it's a smaller Cannes than usual, like more indie films. Deliberate move on the festival's part, obviously. What did you make of it, considering you've been a few times now?
I think it was different in the fact there wasn't quite the same level of excitement around some of the films. They didn't have a Mission Impossible and a Tom Cruise jetting and things like that. But I think you still had enough star power there to make it exciting. You had Miles Teller, you had Adam Driver, you had um, enough sort of Hollywood celebs who were there to lend that weight and that star power to things. You had Rami Malek, you had these are A-list celebs who are still turning up in the
100%,
Gazette
yeah.
to present their films. I think the films were. I've seen a lot of competition films at Cannes across the years, and I think that they stood up against stuff I've seen in previous years. I think last year was more exciting across the board. I think you had films like Sirat, you had films like Sentimental Value, you had It Was Just an Accident. I think you had some bigger hitters last year in terms of exciting films from the competition that broke out. I don't know this year that you're going to have as many films that break out in from the competition in the same way they did last year. Um,
Hmm.
but I enjoyed everything I watched. Even if I didn't like it,
With
I still kind of enjoyed it. And I've missed a
Okay,
film. I've missed a film, Tom.
go on.
The first film I saw when we got there, we raced to the cinema and watched Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma,
Of
which
course,
is
yeah.
brilliant. So a meta kind of weird slasher movie, starring Gillian Anderson and I always forget her name, Hannah Einbinder from Hacks, essentially
Right.
playing the same character she plays in Hacks.
Playing the same character.
But brilliant film, really funny, slasher movie, sort of a meta kind of take on it, lesbian slasher movie, loads of sweets, lots of candy in it. And there's a scene where there is a love scene between her and Gillian Anderson, where Gillian Anderson fingers her on a pile of sweets. Which, if that's not enough to get you to the cinema to
And
watch it, I don't know what
that
is.
and that was the first thing you saw after getting off the plane. Landed in Cannes. Come on, Carl. Let's go across town with this.
But yeah, really, really, really good. Very funny. Nice amounts of gore. Yeah, that was really good. So I think it has. I think Uncertain Regard is a great section at Cannes that has really, really good films. That's where sort of Pillion and Urchin and other films like that came out of last year, and that's where Club Kid and Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Masma came from. So I think there was loads of exciting films. There wasn't those one or two that got people really excited.
Yeah.
But overall, I think a strong Cannes without being a classic year.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you had a good time, Neil, and ultimately, isn't that the main point?
It is. I think last year, if I'd stayed for a week last year and got to watch 18 films last year, I think they would have been a higher caliber across the board. But I don't think I'd have seen anything necessarily better than, say, Club Kid, Teenage Sex. Hope was also fun. Those sorts of films. I don't think The Black Ball. I think they were all absolutely fantastic films. I don't think I'd have seen anything that much better. And you can always see a stinker. There's, I've seen plenty of stinkers.
Every festival, with the exception of Manchester, has its stinkers.
Exactly. But my stinker might be someone else's classic. So who knows?
Very true. Very true. I'm very excited, though, because we are about to start off blockbuster season.
We are about to start blockbuster season. I'm very, very excited about Disclosure Day.
Yeah, I'm literally that I think is the film I'm most excited for, especially if these whispers and rumors about it being a secret sequel to Close Encounters end up being true. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm interested to see what that is. But I think, for all the snobbery around blockbuster movies, I think Steven Spielberg invented the blockbuster, so we can give him the time of day when he decides to do another massive alien movie.
Yes. And I think this might be the year where the 2026 box office, maybe this will be the year we get above pre-pandemic levels.
Do you think?
I think we'll do it.
Let's just have a look where we are so far. 2026 box office. You know what? Actually, so we do have. We've had a Super Mario movie. It's mental to me that the Super Mario movie didn't break a bill. Is it still in cinemas?
Has it not broken $1 billion yet?
No. Worldwide gross 992.
Well, that is a surprise.
Yeah.
It needs 8 million more, so I guess it will cross $1 billion.
Yeah, 100%. It definitely will. But I listen. We've got Supergirl. We've got Disclosure Day. We've got He-Man. There's plenty coming in the next week. I can't believe you're not excited for He-Man.
We've got Toy Story 5.
We've got Toy Story 5.
That's $1 billion guaranteed.
Yeah, that's just you. That's just you going though, isn't it?
It's just me going. Yep. Yeah, we've got Disclosure Day, like you say. We've got a lot to come this year, and Supergirl will be interesting. There's a lot of talk about it maybe being a bit of a mess behind the scenes.
Yes.
Jackass Best and Last is also coming out at the same time as that, so I know which one I'm definitely going to see. Minions and Monsters, that's probably another $1 billion guaranteed.
I would guess so, yeah.
So, we've got a lot of films like that coming out.
There's a Spider-Man movie, that'll make $1 billion, easy.
Yep, Spider-Man, that's absolutely nailed on. Oh, yeah, Nolan.
Yeah, but there's I'm very curious. All right, I'm going to be really curious to see how that Nolan movie does.
It will do amazingly.
Yeah, but there's just so many people seem to want to hate it. I see so many people complaining about stuff in it, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
No, people don't like the dad thing, do they? But that's because people are idiots.
Yeah, that is true. People are stupid.
But yes, and then what have we got? Have we got Doomsday?
Yes, we do. And Dune 3.
June 3. Yeah, geez Louise. I'm
Yeah.
quite looking forward to the Dog Stars as well, the new Ridley Scott one with Jacob Elordi.
God, yeah.
That looks
Yeah, that's supposed to be good.
that looks good. Another zombie movie, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
So plenty to be excited about.
yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited about this year, and I think this will be. I think we might get above 2019 level
We could
this
talk.
year.
We could talk about this in January. Be like, well,
Got that wrong.
when Doomsday makes
Of course, we've got the new
200 mil.
Social Network film.
Oh God, I'm not interested in that.
No,
Sorry.
nor am I. About how Mark Zuckerberg's even more of a hole than he was in the first one.
Yeah. Remember how much you hated him in this one? Look, you'll hate him even more now.
Are they really going to release Doomsday and June Part 3 on the same day?
That's what they claim. And Robert Downey Jr. is desperate to make Doomsday a thing, like we had with Barbenheimer a few years ago. But sadly, I do not think that's.
I mean, they are releasing them over Christmas, so it gives people a lot of time to go and see them. So I suppose there's no reason necessarily to split them.
I'll be interested to see if one of them does blink, which one blinks first, because I think years ago we would have said that Dune would have been the one to move, but now I think with how damaged the Marvel franchise is, that might be changing.
Yeah. Right, I think we're going to need to wrap it up here, Tom, because we've been talking for nearly an hour, and if anyone has lasted this long into it, then hats off to them. Well done for getting this far. We salute you.
Well done, Jen.
But yeah, so next time we talk, you'll have seen He-Man, I'm sure.
I will have seen He-Man.
We might know a bit more about what's going to play Venice, see if Venice can be a starrier affair than Cannes was. I know Venice will definitely want to be, because Venice loves its celebrities.
Yes, it does.
And then we're into the fall season, so we'll be looking at BFI London and Toronto and all the fall festivals, so that will be very exciting. But until then, enjoy yourselves, and me and Tom will see you next time we are between screenings.
Bye.